Buongiorno, buon pomeriggio, e buonasera, Lazio world. Welcome to our instant reaction pod. I'm your host, Sean McIntosh, joined by my co-host, Caleb Adams. We are here to talk, review, scream about this gutsy point following Atalanta versus Lazio. Caleb, been a little bit since you and I have got to jump on a pod together, give an international break. You had some stuff going on prior to that. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Doing great. Enjoying the fall weather. Yeah, man. It's been good.
Good. Well, here we are back in the thick of Serie A, which, look, I was texting a friend of mine who is actually in Italy right now, traveling, and he was at the Como Juve match. And, I was just asking him how the atmosphere was, how the game's incredible. Big performance from Como today over Juve, 2-0. And I was just like, I love Serie A. It's just, I don't care how many billions and billions and billions Premier League continues to inject, but you're just not gonna have the atmospheres, the culture, the chaos, the drama that you see in Serie A. And today you got a big win by Como over Juve. You always see these kind of upsets, and I know, and I'm waiting for the detractors of Serie A to kind of pull up all the 0-0 score lines from this weekend, because I think there was 3 or 4 of them. Lazio, Atalanta, no different. But I tell you what, man, I was on the edge of my seat. Obviously, we're invested in this particular match, but 0-0, and there was certainly a lot from Atalanta in the attack, but I don't know. I was obviously very entertained, though not always because of the technical flair that you see. But let's jump into this one, Caleb, where we always do. Starting 11 here. Couple surprises. We see a few players back from either injury or suspension. Zaccagni back to his starting place. Perhaps maybe a little too soon was my gut reaction, but he gave us a really, really strong shift today. You see Guendouzi back from suspension, and then Marusic also back from injury. So, we don't keep with that good luck as we see with a couple injuries during this match, but at least from the onset, looked like we're getting a couple players back. Sarri electing to start Provedel, which was no surprise. You've got Nuno Tavares back in his left back role, Romagnoli and Gila, Marusic at that right back, Basic, Cataldi, Guendouzi as your starting midfield, Zaccagni, Dia, and Cancellieri. It's back to that 4-3-3 that Sarri obviously loves. And this one, encouraging start right off the bat. We see a Lazio side that is taking it to Atalanta a lot quicker in their passing segments, finding their way into dangerous areas. I thought really organized defensively. You saw some really nice work on the defensive side from players like Zaccagni. I thought it was really, really promising, but of course, we see Atalanta grow into this one, but it's in the 22nd minute that we see the first sign of bad luck starting to hit this Lazio side, with Cancellieri going down with what looks to be another hamstring injury. Really, really rough one, because, obviously we've seen him perform at a level we had yet to see him reach, prime for a breakout season. And it's Isaacson who has to come on for Cancellieri. 31st minute, we earn a free kick. Basic does a decent enough job where he's forced to test Carnesecchi, who saves it. And then, nice string of touches in the 39th minute. Nice ball from Zaccagni to Nuno, back to Zaccagni, who plays in a dangerous cross. Ball falls to Guendouzi, who takes a shot that skies over the crossbar. This one goes to halftime 0-0. 64th minute, Isaacson actually wins a really important free kick, edge of the box, and Nuno steps up to take it. We've got a couple players on this side who are very capable of taking free kicks between Cataldi, Basic, who is also solid, Zaccagni, and it's Nuno who steps up and really a wasteful free kick. 71st minute, you really start to see Atalanta take ownership of this one. Provedel with a massive, massive save on Lookman, who has struggled to find his goals so far this season, but started to insert himself. If not for Provedel, would have found himself a goal. And then in the 72nd minute, from that corner kick, Provedel with a really interesting, weird save, kind of off the crossbar, pins it. And we see a few more subs. 75th minute, we got Pedro on for Zaccagni, Vecino making his appearance for Basic, and then in the 81st minute, Zappacosta off the post, and then it's Provedel once again with a big save on the rebounded shot that falls to Darun. And 86th minute, we see Profsgaard coming in for Marusic, Lazzari for Nuno. Again, we are holding on for dear life. And then end of the match, we earn a corner. I turn to my wife and say, my God, can you imagine if we score off of this corner to steal all 3 points? And in typical Serie A anti-Lazio fashion, the ref blows his whistle to end the match. So while we can be very, very satisfied that we walk away with a draw, just a bit of a bitter taste due to that whistle. I say all that to Caleb, to ask you, Caleb, what are your 3 words or less to describe this match?
My 3 words are luck, sometimes needed. I think we got, personally, I think we got super lucky this game. Looking at some of the numbers, looking at some of the posts that Atalanta hit, we had a really positive first half. Atalanta made adjustments in the second half, and we couldn't deal with it. I don't think there were enough adjustments from Sadi that made a big enough difference to try and get some sort of control, some sort of possession back. Frankly, just thought we got super lucky today. But I'll take it. I'll take the point away at Atalanta. Even though we got lucky, the result, even though sometimes the performance didn't really back the result, in my opinion, I still think results like this help the morale. Of course, they help the morale of the team. They help the team build on what they're doing now. I do think we're seeing some sort of steps of the team growing and how they're playing and some of the quality of play, despite, everything really against us right now. Really encouraged by that first half, and I think we can build off of that. But we got lucky today.
Yeah, look, to your point about luck, just to run through some of the statistics, 58% possession went to Atalanta. They had an expected goals of 2.32 to Lazio's 0.25, 16 total shots to Lazio's 4, 6 of those on target to Lazio's 1, 3 of those deemed big chances, of course, missing all 3 big chances. No big chances to Lazio. 552 accurate passes to Lazio's 390. 7 corners to Lazio's 1. All of that obviously telling a story that Lazio very happy to walk away with a point. My 3 words or less: gritty, point earned. Because while the statistics obviously tell us the story, a very accurate story. Look, Atalanta, if you're looking at that, if you're kind of watching, like, deserved the points, deserved, quote unquote. But I thought Lazio played a really gritty, inspired match, a blueprint for what this team should be given the scenario. And I kind of tweeted something of the ilk that, look, technical football is always going to wow.
Yeah.
You're going to love it. It's going to wow. It's going to get all of the highlights, the interactions on
Mhm.
social media, but gritty, organized, high effort is what's it's what you're going to fall in love with. It's what I'm going to fall in love
Yeah.
with. Like that is what's going to make me fall in love with these players, and was really proud of the performance. Again, we're talking about a side that is without its top players. Zaccagni back early from injury, really putting in a two-way
Yeah.
performance. You've got what we saw, and we're going to go into the player stuff, but my God, you saw what Gila was doing. Basic, a
Mhm.
player who hadn't really played professional football in
Yep.
over a year plus. And given all of that, I was really proud of the effort that we saw. And you said it, like first half, there were some moments. I remember writing the note, like, and I think I texted in a group, like, looks like we've hit the training pitch.
Mhm.
There was some real nice moments, and looked like there was some Sadi like possession,
Yeah.
quick passes, and for a side that doesn't have this wealth of technical quality,
Mhm.
I was really happy with what that looked like and something to build off of. So yeah, let's talk about some of it. Well, like first, I guess, just kind of going off of what we saw maybe in the first half and the second half, like is some of that, like what do you expect to see moving forward? Is it do you think maybe some of those glimpses of we saw early is what you want to see grow, or is it more of that, hey, bunker down, let's be really strong like defensively, and then if we can get something off of a counter, let's be that type of a team?
No, I don't really think it's sort of significant of, hey, you know what, maybe this study ball can work for us. I think the moments we actually found a lot of success was quickly moving the ball when we won it back. We did a really good job of keeping it real tight in the back, winning the ball back, and guys like Tavares, Basic, Zaccagni, um, guys making runs and making themselves available and making those passes quick instead of just holding on to it. For me, Sadi, I know for me, Sadi, that's very anti-Sadi in my opinion, is how quickly we played out when we did win the ball. Because sometimes, and under Sadi, we see guys maybe not make that progressive pass that we're like, hello, like let's just break. Because Sadi does want to have a little more control. So many times when we would win the ball back under Sadi, we have gone backwards or sideways. I thought we were super vertical today. I thought it was much more reminiscent of what we saw under Baroni, if anything. Just how quickly we were breaking, how Tavares had the freedom to combine with Zaccagni, making those runs, darting into sort of the half spaces, him and Zaccagni sort of switching spots at times. So that for me was actually very reminiscent of what we saw under Baroni, and it was working for us for so long. But for me, I just hope it is a sign that Saudi is willing to adapt. And if it is, then maybe we can salvage the season. Maybe we can actually have a respectable enough season. So I hope that's what that signifies. Not so much that Saudi ball is going to work, or I think it's much more, is Saudi adapting? Are we seeing Saudi adapt on the spot here? Are we seeing Saudi sort of change some of his, stubbornness, so that we can actually suit the team and the injuries a little better? That's kind of what I'm looking at from this.
So you say a respectable season. Here's where we're at right now. After this result, we are 12th in the table,
Mm-hmm.
8 points from 7 matches. To give you just a little bit of perspective of where that falls, right now, 15 is top of the table.
Mm-hmm.
You have 3 sides that are at 15th. Milan yet to play. They're at 13th, so they have a chance to kind of fall in that top of the table.
Mm-hmm.
Bologna, 13 points in fifth. Como, after a big win, see themselves with 12 points. Juve now dropped to 12 points. Atalanta at 11. Sassuolo is ninth place with 10.
Mm-hmm.
Cremonese ahead of us with 9 points. What do you see when you say respectable season?
Yeah.
Like where is that? What are you happy with
Yeah,
now? What are we fighting
that's a
for?
valid question. For me, a respectable season is anything between like sixth and ninth. for this stage. 6 would be a brilliant season considering everything that's happened to us in this first half and injuries and the Mercato ban. But I think even if we're like 7th or 8th in those spots, we're kind of tight with 6. I think that's a respectable enough season for me, and it's good enough to where you're like, we can build off of it. It doesn't kill the team morale. It could give Saudi potentially another year as well. It also keeps him motivated. Like, hey, we can, despite everything, get us kind of being respectable, being in that fight for me for that 6th spot. Just being in that fight for me would be a huge overperformance from what we've seen here early. I mean, what are you feeling on that? Because I know that could be very subjective.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's why I ask, right? When we want to like kind of label what is respectable, what is a good season. We've had to reset some of our expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in that 6 to 9 range. I mean, when you look at some of the teams that are ahead of us, certainly, despite some of the challenges, Udinese, Cremonese, Sassuolo, like
Mm-hmm.
those are teams that we should be ahead of, which
Yeah.
puts us in that 8, 9 range,
Yeah.
and then overperforming or seeing some sides maybe dip. Then all of a sudden you're starting to push up against those European
Mm-hmm.
spots. So, and obviously a lot depends on what happens in the transfer window in January, which we've all talked about. So, yeah, I think 6 to 9 is fair. Again,
Yeah. Right.
overperforming, getting results, stealing results is going to be really, really important for us. So, yeah, I think that's again, stealing results, it's going to change everything. So, winning the ones that we're supposed to win, and then hopefully nabbing a couple extra. But let's talk about some players because I was pretty, and it's tough. Like I say, happy with our performance, and it's like I guess how grim things are, right? That is like, man, we definitely like got outperformed today, but like I was still pretty proud of some of the things, and then some players that I really want to give some praise to. So let's talk about our man of the match, Caleb. Who for you stood out amongst all of the players that performed well?
I think part of the reason I think we feel a little more positive about it is because we actually saw some life for some players. Like I think saw some decent individual performances today. Because sometimes we'll be in a game like this and it's like we'll be like, yeah, no one really stood out at all today, right? We've had games and results that have gone that way where we kind of felt like I don't really know if anyone deserved to be the man of the match or even the Bedonia, just kind of mid across the board. But it's encouraging because we actually have some really bright performances today. And for me, I think the one who sort of spearheaded that was Gila. I thought Gila was brilliant today. We saw Gila at his very best. He was getting to everything. I mean, I swear, like just thinking between Romagnoli and Gila, like the amount of times I remember seeing Gila on a play, disrupting a play. I mean, it had to be 10 times that Romagnoli. I'm saying Romagnoli had a bad game, but Gila's presence was just so overwhelmingly apparent in this match. And he was winning everything. He was playing out of pressure well, advancing the ball. Like this was like a true signature performance from Gila. Like if you were a scout and you were pitching to your team, what kind of player Gila is, this would be a game you would show.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I had to bust out the Gila kit because I couldn't agree more. Today was, I texted it like, my God, if you're watching this match, it's your first time tuning in. He's $100 million center back.
Yeah.
And what he did was all around fantastic. Defensively, when he had the ball at his feet, making some of those darting runs up the middle of the pitch, avoiding pressure. He had a moment in the 68th minute where Atalanta plays a ball over top, and I can't recall which player on Atalanta had it, but any other player, and it's a 1v1, it's a breakaway, and Gila, just his closing speed is simply
Crazy, bro. It's
insane.
crazy.
Just catches up, forces a tough shot. Providel does well to make the save, secure the rebound. But if not for Gila's chase down speed, Atalanta is walking in with a goal.
Yeah.
And I mean, and look, we've talked about this last year, like what Romagnoli does so well positionally. It's harder to like pop,
Yeah,
right? Like it's harder to see
he's the
that.
anchor,
He
you know.
allows Gila to find himself out of
Mhm.
position, and he just his pace allows him to play out of position and then make it back. And some of the old school 90s Serie A tackles that he
Yeah,
makes, I just I yearn for those days, the glory days where center backs would
yeah,
tackle,
yeah,
where you could maybe I'm the nut would love watching me some Maldini, some Nesta highlights of good old fashioned go to ground, make a
yeah,
diving tackle. I feel like that is an art that is
yeah.
lost today, where players are encouraged not to. It's all about staying on your feet, being positionally sound. And Gila today just impressive work all around. So he was the I don't want to say runaway, but he was the clear man of the match.
Mhm.
However, two players that I want to shout out:
Yeah,
Provedel, because again we've both been critical of him. He was coming off a really poor match.
yeah,
Provedel, we don't walk away today with a point without
yeah,
him
100%.
being at his best. Absolutely critical in both some of the
Mhm.
saves that he made, some of the rebounds he secured, some of the parrying
Mhm.
those shots to the side, and just fantastic work. He also displayed the glimpse of what Sadi does like so much about him is his ability to play the ball with the ball at his
Mhm.
feet. He had a great Basic run, and he spots him making the run in the first half and pings the ball. That if not for Karnesecki reading that and coming out of from his line, there's a good chance that Basic is in a situation to have a shot on frame and a goal scoring opportunity. So Providel really strong today, and then shout out to
Yeah,
Basic.
man.
I mean, talk about a player who continues to grow and grow and grow. Just his effort tonight, and not just the effort, but again, some of the sharp passing, some of the movements, some of the runs. What do you think of Basic, and what do you think now of Basic moving forward as an
Man,
option?
Bassett's just like I was really impressed with him today. I thought he was so noticeable today and how he was pressing, the pockets he was finding in between Atalanta's defense that helped open up things. And even though we didn't see too much of him like in terms of the final third and stuff, I think a lot of his movement allowed guys like Sakani and Tavares to find those spaces and gaps. I think Basic was really critical in that. But man, it's been a really nice surprise. It's almost like a new signing, right? If Basic has elevated his game to the next level. I mean, even Sadi said that like he didn't make the squad, but it wasn't because he was bad. It was because there were just better options, and I think that he's really shown his gratitude and paid it back to Sadi, of like, hey, like you believed in me a little bit. I got this chance. I'm not gonna let you down. So I think Basic has been almost like a new signing for us at this point, where I feel very comfortable with running with him. As long as we need until our main guys are back. Since till Ravella's back. In fact, today the way he was pressing, it was a sort of similar role to like Ravella in that. It was just relentless, and it was nice to see that. And people like a guy like Wenduzi, he hasn't had that sort of relentlessness to him as of late, and he's a little sloppy on the ball. And obviously, Cataldi's role is a little more deep, isn't as fast or as explosive as someone like Ravella. But man, it was a nice surprise. And if he continues to play this way, it's basically a new signing for us. Which right now we need all the help we can get.
Absolutely. Hats off to the professionalism to just again be a player that can be called upon. And you think about some of the players that had some opportunities that squandered them. You got to praise his
Mhm,
commitment and the ability to just stay ready. So
mhm.
yeah, new player for sure. And you think about this match, and he played for a good period of time. I mean, he wasn't subbed off until the 75th
Yeah.
minute, and you're seeing other players that he's playing over, a match that didn't see Belayan come in. We're without Dele Bashiru, obviously, who's no longer in the squad list due to injury, but all of a sudden Basic is really, really important. So let's shift to our bidone of the match. Caleb, I'll start out with this one. Was really disappointed by Guendouzi. Again, maybe it's nitpicking. Maybe it's that I didn't see anybody else really deserving of it. Talk about expectations versus reality. The expectation is that Guendouzi is one of our more quality players. He is that man that's manned the middle of the pitch with Rovella, and he's back following his red card suspension. And I just saw a lack of quality from him today, whether it was just some of his passing, some of there were times where I just thought he lost his man. I thought there was times when he felt a little bit too nonchalant on the ball, and so was a bit disappointed in him. Again, maybe unfair, but given the quality of player he is and the levels that we've seen from him, we haven't quite seen him reach that this season. And in this match where you're screaming for that, like you need your top players to be top players, and I didn't think he was today. So what did you think both of his performance and who was your bidon?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree that Guendouzi is definitely down there for me. And as part of that, just him missing that, kind of getting out of rhythm, right, with that red card. I mean, he missed 2 games, right? Is that? I mean, he missed 2 games. Like, I think maybe part of that comes from being out of rhythm, getting out of the flow of things. But regardless, I think that I think Guendouzi is a bit on it, but I also am a bit disappointed with Dia's performance. While I thought he had a decent first half, to be fair, when I'm thinking of guys like that, like Tati's out, like Cancellieri has come in and he came in last game huge, gave off a big moment. It's like I even had a really productive game today. I see these attackers coming in and making a real impact. I have yet to see Dia make that impact at that level. To other guys on the team, like Isaacsen's also in that same boat of like, he's had limited minutes, but today, I mean, can you think of one positive moment with Isaacsen of like he beat his man?
Late in the match, I mean, again, I thought he earned the free kick that Nuno squandered. I thought that Isaacsen struggled for a lot of the match, but I did think late he was attacking. He picked up it was the defender on Atalanta that was playing in the center, that picked up a yellow card, who then was forced to be less aggressive with Isaacsen. But I think Isaacsen grew into the game a tad, and again, he earned a free kick.
I mean, I thought Isaacsen was still a little more impactful than someone like Dia, who had he started the game. Obviously, Isaacsen came in really early too, but it wasn't so much that Dia was just completely awful today. It is Tati's out. You're leading the front line this season. When have you seen Dia step up and motivate?
No, it's fair. Here's my thing with Dia, because I don't disagree. What I'm really like trying to focus on with him and understand is it a product of our system and what he's being asked to do, or is he just not up to snuff? Like, I'm really am, because you watch, like, there wasn't any moments where I can't recall any moments where he messed up or he squandered an opportunity, right? Like, so
I recall real quick. I think the first 15, 20 minutes, there was a ball Nuno gave him like right on the top of the box on the line. A better touch. He has that space and gets a shot off. It was like things like that. Was like it wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't sharp enough to where I do think Dia could have had some better looks, and I think the team as a whole could have some better looks if some runs were made quicker, if a better touch was taken. But it wasn't to the point where like, oh my goodness, Dia is actually a liability to us to the point where he's
Right. So
unplayable.
that's what I'm trying to like again.
But for me, it's like
He's playing in this 4-3-3 where he's isolated. He's doing a lot of work coming back. Like he's winning some balls. He's not like the paciest guy that if he's dropped so far back and he's helping us there and then we recover that all of a sudden he's gonna find himself on the counterattack in open space. So like one, it's a product of
for sure. I mean, that's absolutely
who
a
he
factor.
is, but
Diaz alone 9, it doesn't have a good track record. I totally get that. But what I'm saying is,
not in the way we play,
right.
especially not as a lone 9 when we have no possession and we're just kind of like hoping.
Well, when we did have possession that first half,
yeah, I thought that was he was better. Like I thought his passing, like he was connecting on passing. I thought like I look at his passing numbers, it was like okay, 28 for 33, 85%. Like from that position, like not bad. We just didn't. I don't know. I hear you and I understand the frustration with Dia. I'm just trying to figure out who to blame. Is it the player or are we expecting something from him that just doesn't make any sense? We're not going to see that out of any
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's always a little bit of both. I do think Dia has good qualities to him, and I do think it helps that Matati is there to combine with him.
For sure.
But I think my biggest thing is like, despite these flaws as a finisher, like he's noticeable because he's missing a chance, right? But you still got to create that chance. Like I can't even think of moments where Dia's like, oh man, like either like if I much rather Dia be getting shots off and creating danger, creating chaos, he missing some chances. Like okay, at least he's like, we're getting some chances out of him, right? And
100%. Here's the problem with him. It's that he is playing in that number, like in that shadow striker number 10, like kind of number 10 role behind, usually that he does behind Tati. Yeah. He's still doing that without the striker.
Right.
Does that mean like we're playing in this 4-3-3 and he is playing in that role that we are accustomed to seeing him play. And so because there's nobody in front of him playing an actual striker role, he's either being instructed to play this role that makes no sense because then he's going to be invisible, right? He's like dropping back, he's trying to play these passes, and nobody's playing the striker role. So he's either not playing this lone striker role correctly because he doesn't understand his role, or Sadi is instructing him to play this role, which essentially leaves us without a striker.
Well,
like I see him playing in more of that like number 10 right now.
No, I get that.
Shadow striker.
For sure. He's definitely better there. But I think also, I mean, think about this. We see Tati dropping back in the midfield, and we still see him on the end of chances in the box. Even
true, but he's paced. He's a little bit. I don't know if he's pacier.
Tati is so slow, bro. Tati is
no, that's what I'm saying. I said like I don't know that he's pacier. He's just.
But what I'm saying is,
I don't know. He's definitely quicker. He's not fast, but he's quicker.
Like I think of the game when Tati came on as a sub. I think it was Torino where he came on after Dia came off, and so it was very comparable in terms of Dia was playing a lone striker, Tati was playing a lone striker. They didn't have each other at that point. So this for me like is a more fair comparison, of course, to a game where Tati does have Dia behind him and Dia doesn't. So I understand that, but in a game like that, I mean, you saw Tati come on. And he was just palpably like it was his impact was palpable. Like you could tell, like okay, like he's trying to make stuff happen. Like stuff is happening. And so, despite this, it's the same system. It's the same system.
Was it? I thought we were playing in a 4-2-3-1.
It's the same system. It was a 4-2-3 where we played today. It was the same system, the same. And I even think in the let me see the lineup for Torino here.
Yeah, I thought we had played with slightly. I thought it was a 2-man midfield, but I could be wrong.
What was it? What was it? It was What was the game I'm thinking of? What was the game where Tati subbed on? We were like, Tati didn't even start. Oh, it was Roma. It was Roma. My bad. My mistake. It was the Roma match where Dia started, and Dia had Rovella, and Rovella came out at the half of that game, but Rovella, Guendouzi, Dele Bashiru were in the midfield that day. It was Rodriguez, it was Pedro and Zaccagni wingers, and then Diaz striker. Tati comes into that. No Rovella. At this point, Rovella's out. He's injured.
Yeah.
Slots right in as a lone striker. And we all saw how different the game looked with him in it. So with all that said, because I don't want to say this too much, because like Dia didn't really have a terrible game today. Like, I mean, he didn't. But yes, I absolutely think playing him as a lone striker for the entire 90 minutes today was diabolical from Sadi. I think Nelson should have come in, played up top, and you kept Dia underneath him. And I think we would have seen Dia impact the game a little bit more. But I also think you got to find ways to make things happen. Like, it's cool to play it safe. It's cool to, play the combinations, but find ways to get dangerous, find ways to get some shots off, find ways to be a menace. And I just didn't see that today. That's it.
Yeah. Again, it's fair. The criticism of him, I'm not saying it's not fair. I'm just trying to understand why the struggle, because we've seen him finish. I think he's a clinical finisher. It's just when I'm watching him, it seems like he is playing in a role that is not of lone striker. So it's either he doesn't understand what he's supposed to do in that role, or Sadi is telling him how to play it in this way that essentially leaves us without a goal.
He's a weird player, man. Like physically, he looks like he has all the attributes to be a good old classic 9. Running the box, good finisher, good with both feet, good hold of play, a good target striker. But we play him as that role, and he just doesn't connect. But then you play.
But he's not playing in that role. He is on paper, but he is not. We don't see him playing high enough on the field. How many times today did we have the ball? Nuno's got the ball, Zaccagni has the ball, and nobody is in the box, right? So
But I'm saying his natural inclination, I think, is to play the second striker. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying physically he looks like he's suited for that, but I think his natural inclination is to play that sort of second striker role.
So he's coming in, and that's what I'm saying. It's either on his doing, because that is or Sadi is instructing him to do that. So he's trying to come to the ball, and all of a sudden we're left without the bite. We have no striker in those positions, and so what I'm trying, like I'm watching him off the ball, and I'm trying to understand: is this because that's what Sadi wants, or is that a problem with Dia, that he does not know how to play as the lone striker in this system? In which case, whatever the answer is, there's a problem, because we're not going to score goals playing in that fashion. But not, to your point, diabolical to not see Noslin in this match when we just needed, like, look, we're fortunate that we hung on. You give us another 10 minutes and maybe we concede. And so just to kind of change things up a little bit, really bummed out. Like, what do you make of that, Caleb? Because there's clearly a lack of trust, but coming off of a match where he had an impact and he's an unused sub, what do you make of that?
I wanted to actually stay on the topic of Sadi, because I think that's a more significant conversation to have than Dia right now. For me, we say we've been unlucky with these injuries, but unlucky is someone tears the ACL out of nowhere, and that just happens. For me, we're seeing a continuous trend of hamstring injuries within the side. And comparing to last season, we were quite a healthy side up until about February of this year, which we were balancing league play in addition to also Europa League. It's natural. It's not like a February, March era, like point where you start seeing that sort of wear and tear really hurt the team. In addition to that, Baroni was also not rotating as well as he was in the first half of the season. So those are all things that made sense. Regardless, we were healthy. We were really quite healthy up until February of last season. I say that to say, I don't think the medical staff has changed in that time period. And the only thing that's changed at the club has been Sadi. And Sadi has also a history of having rigorous training sessions. And for me, I think the answer is quite clear. I think Sadi has completely mismanaged the training intensities with the matches, because here we are. Bro, like, it feels like we just started the season. And we basically lost most of our key players in the beginning of the season when we're playing one game a week. I think Sadi is the culprit in the situation. I think we need to go back to the drawing board because like Cancelletti pulling up today, Cancelletti is 23 years old, bro. Like he should not be having. We're playing. His hammy shouldn't be being pulled up like that. Um, and so right now for me, my biggest concern with Sadi is what are we doing in training that is completely cooking our guys' hamstrings? I mean, we're playing one game a week. Man, we just got off an international break and Cancelletti's pulling a hammy. So that for me, like I don't think it's a medical issue. I don't think it's a physios, because and even though we do have some injury prone players on the team, like Tavares has been, I think last season that he was quite healthy up until February, and then we completely mismanaged his injury because Baroni just kept trying to play him over and over again when he wasn't ready to come back. That for me is the most concerning part about Sadi at this moment, that I think we need to have some serious conversations or some serious changes in training because this is not sustainable. I mean, we're beyond the point of sustainable. Like we're no longer at the point of like, we can still hang in there. Like we're dropping like flies. So I mean, I do want to mention that. And with that said, with all the hamstring injuries, and you don't play a guy like Noslin, you don't pull out someone like, or at least give someone like Dia a little bit of a break, or you play them both to try and go after a goal, get some control in the game. I was disappointed from the second half, particularly from Sadi, but I'm most concerned again about what's going on in training behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's a valid concern because one injury, two injuries, three injuries, four, it starts to be indicative of some sort of trend behind the scenes with training and the methods, and you have to question Sadi because this is outrageous. This isn't an accidental injury or a player being stepped on or tackled. It's hamstrings, and it seems to continuously be hamstrings. They're all muscle injuries with all of our players, and the mismanagement comes in that some of this isn't behind the scenes. Like we've seen Rovella, for example, in huge moments where we have all head-scratchingly questioned, why is he playing? We understand his importance, but playing him for one match in which he is not healthy has now hurt us for months. And we saw the same with Zaccagni. We now see, Cancelletti, who hadn't been injured. And so, yeah, it's valid to question. And to your point about today's match, very disappointing in that we didn't try to do anything to change the momentum swing that was very obviously in Atalanta's favor. Really disappointing because, my goodness, we don't have a ton of players. And so, we didn't even discuss the fact that Gila went down and was waving for a substitution. and the sub was not made. Instead, the subs were made, just not for Gila. And so, knock on wood there that we don't see him in a position where he's injured. So, yeah, tough. So, taking a look at our upcoming fixtures, they obviously don't get any easier for us with Juventus next Sunday, followed by you could say a bit of a reprieve, but at this point they're all tough matches for us. But following Juve, we've got Pisa and then Cagliari before Inter. So, a lot to hope for, a lot to ask of this group of players that seems to be getting smaller and smaller. But, with this fighting attitude and with our defense playing as organized as it was today, there is still a glimmer of hope, and we at least put ourselves in a position. So, Caleb, any final words before we close this one out?
Man, I regardless of what we said, I do think we have. I think there's some hope there. I think we can give Juve a game.
Well, whether we are scoring 10 goals across 3 matches or no goals in this fixture against Atalanta, sempre forza